What up? It's Griffin.
What up?
We got Rachel.
Hi.
Brandon is driving the SUV. It is just after 12 o'clock, Thursday, September 5th.
Yeah.
September 5th. We're on our way to Columbus, Ohio, to our first investigation of our haunted road trip that will last for the next week and a half or so. So, the rest of the team left yesterday. I think they're in Illinois somewhere right now, but we are going to meet them in Ohio later this evening.
Yeah, in Columbus.
In Columbus. We're excited. We will have updates as we go. We're doing our best to make this up as we go. We're professionals. Don't worry about it, people. First investigation is tomorrow night, September 6th. And then the following is September 9th, the Trans-Allegheny. And then September 11th, we're at Waverly.
Waverly.
We did it. In September of 2024, 5 members of Grey Duck Paranormal and a couple guests packed into 2 cars and a camper to hit the road for a week-long journey with the goal of investigating 3 well-known haunted locations, each with its own story and dark history. Our first stop in this 3-part road trip series is the visually striking historic jail located in the historic district of Newark, Ohio. This Richardsonian Romanesque sandstone building was in operation as a jail for 98 years before being closed down as a result of failing to meet modernized standards for places of incarceration. In those years of operation, over 20 people died within the walls of this building, including both lawbreakers and law enforcement. This building has seen its fair share of darkness. Is this darkness still echoing through the sandstone walls and metal bars of the cell blocks here, and will we be lucky enough to witness it in person? Join Grey Duck Paranormal as we get locked inside the Licking County Historic Jail. The Licking County Historic Jail is an odd place to visit, as it feels like it's inhabiting 2 different worlds at once. One world is the front half of the building. This was the space used by sheriffs and their families to eat, sleep, and live their lives, just as if this was any other home. Similarly, up on the top floor, just above the sheriff's living quarters, a matron and her family would reside. It was her job to care for the women who were locked up inside the top floor cell block, as well as provide food and laundry services to all inmates inside the jail. Pictures can be found of holidays being celebrated, meals being had, and family gatherings happening as if this is any other average family household. Once you cross over into the back half of the building, though, it becomes something else entirely. According to Neil Phelps, author of The Historic Licking County Jail, Untold Stories of the Murderers Who Lived There, the jail was described as the closest thing to hell on a sign made by an inmate who was locked up inside. Neil continues, "The jail didn't offer 24/7 on-site medical staff. It had inadequate ventilation and was sometimes crowding as many as 6 male prisoners into 8x8 cells with common toilets, resulting in 2 prisoners having to sleep on the floor under cots in spaces so tight that they couldn't physically turn over." There's a bit of a startling contrast between the pictures of Christmas celebrations and meals with happy family members and those of prisoners tightly locked in cells with very little ventilation and no room to move. It's made even more startling when you realize that these pictures were all taken just on the other side of a single wall. Between the years when the jail was opened in 1889 and when it finally closed in 1987, there were several high-profile deaths in relation to this jail, which have certainly fueled the claims of paranormal activity in this building over the years. A common belief among paranormal believers is that heightened emotional states, like extreme anger, pain, and sadness, can saturate the walls, the floorboards, and even specific objects at a location. It is even believed that some materials are better for absorbing energy than others. This is known as the stone tape theory. If the conditions are right, this can result in a type of residual haunting, like an echo, a moment in time captured and replayed over and over, whether someone is there to witness it or not. If this is to be believed, a jail like this one, with each inmate adding their own personal trauma and their heightened emotional state to this space, is a perfect candidate for such a haunting. Starting up on the 4th floor, there were 2 deaths that kept popping up in my research into this building. Lillian Simmons was charged with illegal liquor sales by a state liquor agent on Sunday, June 12, 1960. A hearing was set for the following Friday. However, when she failed to appear before the court, she was subsequently arrested. She was charged with contempt of court and was placed in Licking County Jail. Then, on the morning of June 20th, 1960, a fellow inmate found Lillian dead on the floor of her unlocked cell. The matron recounted that Lillian had complained about some stomach pains the day before, but had stated that a routine check was performed around 11:45 p.m., and Lillian was observed sleeping soundly in her cell. As far as I could find, there was never a conclusive cause of death announced. All the documents I could find stated that the coroner was looking into her medical history before making a decision, but I was never able to find what that final cause of death actually was, or what cell she was even located in. That said, it is believed that she was located in the far back cell on the right side closest to the shower area. The second notable death that I was able to find was a woman named Mae Varner. On the evening of July 13th, 1953, 2 Newark police officers were called to the Varner home at around 7 p.m. to find Mae inside, where she had taken an overdose of sleeping medicine. Mae was rushed to the Newark hospital, where she was treated for her overdose and then turned back over to police for observation. What the officers didn't know was that Mae was hiding a book of matches, which she would then successfully smuggle into her jail cell. Roughly 45 minutes after Mae was placed in her cell, matron Marie Thompson would find Mae on fire with all of her clothing virtually burned off, while on an hourly check of the 4th floor cell block. The matron rushed in to attempt to beat out the flames in an attempt to save Mae's life. However, at that point it was already too late. Mae would once again be rushed to the Newark hospital for treatment, but would succumb to her injuries. Mae passed away on July 14, 1953, at the age of 55. Other teams that have explored this location claim to have come in contact with Mae's spirit, mainly centered in and around her cell, although I have seen claims of evidence of Mae's spirit experienced in the matron's quarters as well. I wasn't able to find much about the potential of Lillian's spirit haunting this location at all. Obviously, I haven't checked every piece of paranormal content available online, so perhaps there is some relevant content out there. I just wasn't able to find it. An aggressive spirit named David allegedly also resides on the top floor in the matron's quarters. I don't know the origin of this claim, but I have seen it referenced a few times online, as well as our tour guide mentioning this spirit showing up in photos and in different types of audio evidence prior to our visit. The 3rd floor was a little more difficult to get specific information on. There is a list of inmates who died while serving their time here, but I wasn't able to find out what cells they were located in or much of their background. The one name I was able to find out more information about was a man named George Hackett, who at the end of March 1904 was going through a divorce with his wife. She had successfully secured the divorce from George and was staying with her father, Bill Smith, located just outside of Newark. George was despondent, according to his friends, who were all worried that he was going to do something desperate. Then, on April 1st, 1904, his desperation would boil over. He showed up to Bill's residence looking for his now ex-wife, armed with a revolver. When she came to the door, George pulled out the revolver and fired 3 shots into the home, 2 of which would strike the woman, once in the arm and once in the back, leaving her in critical condition. George would flee the scene and be captured after a short chase and a brief shootout with police, before attempting to take his own life with the revolver, but as a newspaper reporting on the incident states, quote, "His aim was bad," unquote. George Hackett had been successfully captured and placed in the Licking County Jail. In letters that George would write, and in statements made to his fellow inmates, he was deathly afraid of standing trial, fearing that his judgment would be the death penalty. The officers at the jail were aware that George's behavior indicated that he may try to take his own life before standing trial, so they did try to keep him away from things that may cause bodily harm. Only a few weeks after he was locked up, on April 27, 1904, George penned a few more letters, one directed to whoever found his body and another to his ex-wife. In both of these letters, he claims that it was never his intention to kill his wife and that a poison that he had taken had made him crazy. He asks his wife and her family not to turn against him and ends his letter with pleas for his safety. George's fear of standing trial would eventually lead him to complete suicide by hanging, alone in his cell, using a rope from his hammock, connecting the other end to the bars on the door. Now moving downstairs, the 2nd floor was the site of some of the most graphic violence to happen on the premises, according to the documentation I was able to find. First, a man by the name Martin Kelly was arrested on Saturday, June 10, 1905, after being seen nude walking around near St. Louisville, Ohio. Martin was to be held at Licking County Jail while awaiting his hearing in front of a judge on charges of lunacy. On the morning of Monday, June 12, 1905, at about 9:30 a.m., just before his hearing was set to occur, Martin acquired a razor blade from fellow inmate Samuel Bucklew, under the guise of needing to shave. But when Martin entered the shower area, he instead used the razor to cut his throat from ear to ear. His fellow inmates yelled for help when they saw what was happening, but by the time assistance arrived, it was already too late. The coroner's report indicates that Martin took his own life while suffering from dementia. The second notable death on this floor was one that garnered worldwide attention. Carl Etherington was a 17-year-old native of Willisburg, Kentucky, and was employed by the State Anti-Saloon League as a blind tiger raider and dry detective, responsible for raiding establishments thought to be selling liquor illegally. The term blind tiger is slang for a place where liquor is sold illegally and was popularized during Prohibition. It derives its name from the practice of disguising bars as establishments featuring animal exhibits to avoid detection. On the evening of Friday, July 8, 1910, Carl and a party of dry detectives raided a business thought to be operating in defiance of the anti-liquor laws that were in place at the time. The raid did not go smoothly. As Carl and his detective partners entered the establishment, a large crowd began to form around them. As the detectives went to flee, they got separated, and Carl was reportedly halted by the owner of the saloon and former police captain, William Howard. Carl, believing his life was in danger, pulled out his gun and fired, striking William in the abdomen. But before Carl could then escape, he was caught by the mob and badly beaten before being rescued by the Newark police officers and taken to Licking County Jail for safekeeping. The rest of the dry detectives were run out of town, so the mob turned its attention towards the jail and Carl himself. From this point onwards, Carl's situation would only go from bad to worse. At 8:15 p.m., William Howard, the former police captain and well-known, well-respected member of the community, would be declared dead as a direct result of the gunshot wound received at the hand of Carl. As this news began to spread, the mob went from throwing stones at the exterior walls of the jail and yelling in anger to a full-on assault. The crowd located some nearby railroad ties to use as battering rams against the exterior jail doors in an attempt to reach Carl, who was being kept in a jail cell on the second floor. Meanwhile, just inside, the sheriff believed he had the manpower and resources to cope with the growing mob outside. He had called in some extra local deputies to help barricade the doors, but it didn't take long for officers inside the jail to recognize that they may not be equipped to handle what was happening just outside the walls. Before anyone could call in reinforcements from the surrounding areas, the mob, which had grown to thousands of people at this point, had broken down the door leading into the jail. 17-year-old Carl Etherington was now trapped inside, with nowhere to run and nobody left to save him. Once the mob had gained access to the cell block and began trying to break down the jail cell door, Carl, in an act of desperation, was attempting to take his own life by setting his clothing and his bed on fire. Unfortunately for Carl, the mob gained access before the fire would get going, and he was forced to face their anger head-on. There are some conflicting reports about how the mob gained access to a specific cell. I saw some reports of brute force being used to open the door. Other stories include the mob finding the keys while they were flooding into the cell block, and a story of the sheriff turning the keys over voluntarily in an attempt to save the lives of the other officers now trapped inside the building. Regardless of how access was gained, Carl had to endure a ferocious beating before members of the mob dragged him outside, placed a noose on his neck, and prepared him to be hanged. Etherington asked if he could pray, which the mob granted. Once Carl had finished his prayer, he was asked to speak to the crowd. According to newspaper writings at the time, he said, quote, "Please send word to my mother and tell her I died doing what I thought was right." He continued, "I want to warn all young fellows not to try and make a living the way I have, by strike breaking and taking jobs like this. I had better have worked and I wouldn't be here now." Unquote. Those were his last words. Shortly after 10:30 p.m. on July 8, 1910, Carl Etherington was dragged from his cell and hanged on a telephone post in the courthouse square for the shooting and killing of William Howard. Carl was only 17 years old. In 2017, a plaque dedicated to Etherington was erected outside the door of the Licking County Jail. Additionally, Newark Division of Police Deputy Chief Eric McKee worked to have Etherington's death recognized as a line-of-duty death by the Ohio Peace Officers Memorial and Officer Down Memorial page. The Licking County Governmental Preservation Society also designated July 8th as Carl Etherington Day. As mentioned previously, there is a belief in some paranormal communities that extreme moments in our human experience can create the right conditions to be baked into a location for future paranormal encounters, called the stone tape theory. A moment like this, where someone is so afraid of what's on the other side of the door that he tries to light himself on fire to escape the promise of brutal pain and suffering at the hands of his fellow man. I personally cannot begin to imagine the terror he must have felt. The helplessness, being locked in a cell designed to prevent people from getting outside, is now your only protection against a mob who's trying to get in. Looking at it from the other side, a man who's just shot and killed a member of your community is now hiding in a jail cell and is being protected by local law enforcement. The emotional weight of this moment, if we are to believe the theories that our experiences and emotions can be captured by a location and its materials, would certainly qualify. The final names I wanted to mention in this section of the video were the 4 sheriffs who suffered heart attacks while living and working in the jail, 3 of whom would pass away inside the building itself. Sheriff Ross Embry died September 13th, 1934 at the age of 41. Sheriff Albert Rowe Francis died June 12, 1949 at the age of 59. Sheriff William McElroy died March 23, 1962 at the age of 59, and Sheriff Bernard Hovarth died October 4, 1971 at the age of 58. Sheriff Hovarth suffered his heart attack while at the jail. However, he passed away just after arriving at the hospital, while the first 3 that I listed died on site in the bedroom area of the sheriff's living quarters on the 2nd floor. Looking quickly at the 1st floor and basement, both floors saw death and despair, much like the other floors that we've already covered. That said, the names I was able to find were inmates who suffered and died from different ailments and circumstances. 2 of the main reasons I found were suicide and complications from intoxication. We did spend some time in the basement and on the 1st floor, and we had an audio recorder running almost the entire night in the basement, but after 8 hours of investigating and evidence review, there really wasn't anything that caught our attention down on the lower floors, so I won't be showing much from those areas. If you want more info on this building and its history, please check out Neil Phelps' book, The Historic Licking County Jail: Untold Stories of the Murderers Who Lived There. The last thing I wanted to cover before diving into the investigation is the building's location. We had to keep in mind while reviewing our footage that this old jail is not in some remote location where audio contamination is near impossible. It's quite the contrary. Licking County Historic Jail is in a quite densely populated area in the historic district of Newark, Ohio. Zooming out for just a moment so you can get a reference for where this building is seated in the overall city, and I think it's important to show this right off the bat, not just so you have this information for our investigation, but so you have the context for any previous investigations that you may have seen, or any future investigations that you may be shown. It's an awesome location for sure, but it can get busy around this area, so teams have to plan accordingly. We visited the jail on Friday, September 6, 2024. We arrived just after 6 p.m. and looking at the weather data for that night, the temperature was about 70 degrees. We did have some light rain throughout the earlier part of the day, but the evening was actually quite nice. The wind was fairly mild throughout the entire night, and the windows in the jail portion of the building were closed during our investigation. Some things to note around this location, mainly the Canal Market District, which is represented by the rooftops right next to the building, are typically where events are held. On the night that we were there, this area was completely empty. Nearby are some businesses that close at all different times, the latest being 9 p.m. that I could find. I made sure that as we reviewed our evidence, that we always considered the possibility of patrons and employees of these businesses, they would be leaving these establishments throughout the night, and we had to be diligent to continue comparing sounds captured on different devices in different areas throughout the building to try and eliminate the possibility of captures being people outside. So with all that said, let's go ahead and jump into the investigation of the historic Licking County Jail. To begin our investigation, we placed a camera and an audio recorder up in May's room on the 4th floor. Unfortunately for us, the camera died almost immediately, which sadly we didn't notice until much later that night. So the only working device we had on the top floor was the audio recorder. Other teams claimed to have come in contact with several spirits up there, so we were hoping to find any evidence of May, Lillian, or even David up on the top floor. Moving down to the 3rd floor, we had another video camera, this time recording the main hall of the cell block, and an iPhone which is recording the audio. We also placed a REM pod about 3/4 of the way down the hallway, which is a device that alarms when anything producing an EMF field comes within range of its antenna. It also alarms when a temperature change is detected at plus or minus 4 degrees. REM pods are pretty sensitive to radio frequencies, so we are not using walkie-talkies on this investigation, and all of our phones are either off or turned to airplane mode. This floor has reports of shadow figures in and around the jail cells, so we are hoping that either the camera or the iPhone captures any paranormal activity on this floor. While we did spend some time on the 2nd floor ourselves, we didn't leave any devices running alone here. But down in the basement in the chapel area, we left an audio recorder running the entire night. There were some deaths recorded down in this area, and a paranormal team actually captured a photo of a shadow figure in the basement, so we thought it would be valuable to at least leave a recorder running down here in this area. Now, to start us off, the only context needed here is that we've placed all of our names on individual slips of paper. The first name to be pulled out of the hat will be sent up to the 4th floor by themselves to try and make contact with May, Lillian, or even David.
Who wants to draw? First one, should we do May Varner's room?
I was just gonna say, yeah, the women's ward.
Start at the top.
Brandon.
Oh boy.
Okay.
Enjoy it while it lasts, Brandon.
We want to escort you upstairs?
Sure. If this music box goes off while I'm up here.
Yeah.
This is Brandon. It's 9:16. I'm going into May's room for a 30-minute session. We'll see how this goes.
Let us know if you need us.
Yeah.
Don't forget about the music box. What? So don't forget about the music box.
Yeah.
EMF is going off.
I'm gonna pull my ghost tube out. We'll see if we can make some contact here.
The Ghost Tube phone app, mentioned by Brandon just a moment ago, is developed by a fairly well-known and well-respected paranormal investigation team known as Amy's Crypt. The app is developed as a way to communicate with spirits by providing them a way to generate words by manipulating the physical environment around the phone. Basically, it's a word database that responds to temperature change and EMF spikes. You can probably guess why this is a fairly common tool in the paranormal scene. All you need is an iPhone or Android device with the app installed, and you have everything you need. You may also be aware that it's pretty controversial to use these types of apps. On one hand, you have people calling them scams, gimmicks, and paranormal fakery, mainly because people have deliberately used apps just like this to generate the responses they want to fit their content. After all, this is basically just a word database that triggers responses based on a combination of external factors. The words chosen by the app are influenced by the data received from the different sensors on your device, according to the developers. On the other hand, you do have people swearing by the results of these apps, stating that your phone is far more sensitive and powerful than any other paranormal investigation device that you can buy on, say, Amazon. For us, I think the truth lies somewhere in the middle. I do agree that modern mobile devices carry really impressive technology that can and should be leveraged in all sorts of different ways. But we also have to put our trust in developers who have a certain stake in the app's success. So we have to be careful how much faith we put into the responses and the technology in general, and we do try. We take the responses as a way to spark conversation and to give us some words to reference in our evidence review. If we do get responses, we can see if they line up with the history of the location, or maybe a word generated lines up with a spirit box response or even an EVP. There are other uses than just taking these responses at face value, so we use these apps lightly to try and find other ways to corroborate our experiences and evidence.
Is there someone down here?
Me and my friends are here visiting. Just trying to find some more information about you.
Down there.
Yep, my friends are down there.
Can you join us there for just a second? But it was super faint, so I don't know.
Could have been Brandon.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's right above us.
My friends are downstairs. I'm going to spend a little bit of time up here with you.
These are all closed.
Okay.
All these are like glass. There's no wind coming in here.
I have this device in my hand that'll let us talk. I'll keep this up for a little while, and then I'll get out something that can maybe hear you later if you're talking.
What do you mean?
It's a recording device that will pick up sounds that I may not be able to hear.
Medicine.
Not medicine. It's a recording device.
I'm Tormented.
You meant
Restless.
You're restless?
As you can hear, the ghost tube app is generating words, and Brandon is using these to set up some level of communication with whatever might be in the room with him. For full transparency, I have also removed a couple words that came up that weren't relevant to the conversation, or just didn't go anywhere. What I found interesting about these 3 words that he got in rapid succession, and Brandon touches on this a little later, the words medicine, I meant it, and restless, could easily be tied to this cell. The entire reason Mae Varner was brought to this cell in the first place was because she tried to take her own life by overdosing on sleeping medicine. Is she trying to tell us that she meant to take her own life the entire time, both with the sleeping medicine and then with the matches? According to the coroner's report, her death was ruled accidental. These 3 words put together tell a pretty compelling story. Now, while getting these 3 words on an app alone don't mean we are in the presence of a spirit necessarily, I also can't help but find this to be an interesting set of interactions.
If there's someone here, can you go up and touch that red light? If you touch it, we'll be able to see it.
What should I do?
You should talk. Make a noise. Let me know that you're here. It's extremely hot in here. And I just got the chills up and down. All of my hair is just stood on end. You can see I'm sweating bullets here.
That was awkward.
What?
It felt like, or it sounded like something tapped my hearing aid.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh.
Like tapped the microphone of my hearing aid.
Do you do that sometimes?
I've never heard that before without me doing it, and I was holding this.
Right. Someone trying to talk to Melissa?
Sad.
Why is Pamela sad? Or are you sad?
Ira.
You are? Why are you sad? Is it okay that I sit in here with you?
Medicine. Portal.
Portal? Is there a portal here?
Where?
Yeah, that's what I'm asking you. Where's this portal?
Judge.
Judge? Are you talking about the medicine that you took, the sleeping pills? Is that you?
Heard like a song.
That's what I heard too.
Pretty quiet in here now. I don't feel anything really.
I don't either.
It's pretty comfortable right now.
God, imagine being locked in one of these rooms
Yeah, alright.
when it's this hot. Miserable.
Am I safe here?
Goodbye.
I will take that as my cue to leave, I guess. Well, we are gonna head out because I don't feel comfortable here anymore. So let's take this show on the road.
Brandon returned from his solo to let us know that he never really felt alone while he was up in Mae's cell, stating that despite the hot ambient temperature in the cell block, he felt a chill enter the room while he was trying to make contact with whatever might be up there. So we decided to head back up as a team to try some additional methods to make contact and see if we can feel what Brandon felt just a few minutes ago.
May, I came back and I brought all my friends. Is that okay? Is there anything you'd like to say to all of us while we're out here? Hey, what was that?
Almost sounded like a shriek.
May, how did you kill yourself?
I said something.
Yeah, I didn't hear what it was.
May, how old were you?
Oh,
What was that?
I don't know.
Help me?
Help me? If it's not May we're speaking to, what is your name?
Matthew.
Yeah.
Matthew? Why are you here? Is this still Matthew? Yeah?
Yes.
Matthew, why are you here?
You're not supposed to be up here. This is the women's ward.
Play a girl?
That's what I heard.
That's what I heard.
Is there something that we should be afraid of here? Caution?
Can you come hold my hand?
There's a girl out in the hallway.
I feel like a cool breeze on the palm of my hand. May, is that you? Do you want to come sit with us?
She's dead?
After about 20 minutes of using the spirit box, we had a few responses we thought might be relevant, but we also had plenty of unanswered questions as well. The sound of the spirit box reverberates really well in this space, making it really difficult to understand, not to mention the sound of our own voices trying to talk over the spirit box just makes it that much harder. So we decided we might have more luck sending one lucky person to another area of the jail by themselves.
Well, let's draw a name. Yeah, location.
Should be third floor?
That's the one with the
The shadow.
Yeah.
the peeper. Okay.
Let's do that.
Oh my god, it's blank. Rachel!
Yeah!
Rachel is going to the third floor men's wing by herself with a camera and a spirit box.
Rachel's name is next to be drawn from the hat, so she grabs a spirit box and a camera and heads up to the third floor where our static camera, iPhone, and REM pod are currently located. While Rachel is making her way upstairs, the rest of us head down into the basement to check out the chapel and drunk tank, where a paranormal team reportedly captured a photo of a strange ghostly white face near the far back wall.
Alright, this is Rachel doing my solo.
We'll see.
Oh, I don't know if I can do this.
Anybody down here with us? If so, you can come talk into this device on the table here. We'll be able to hear you.
This is so weird because like I haven't felt anything all night and like right now I cannot. I feel like I cannot step forward. Okay, I'm gonna do it. Who's in here?
Is there anyone here with me that wants to talk?
Can you step forward and touch that red light on the floor? It'll light up.
Can you make a loud noise so I know that you're here? Is there anyone here that wants to talk to me?
Anybody feel anything?
Nope.
What's your name?
Should we move? Try maybe the drunk tank or something?
Yeah, let's give it a shot.
But you can go now. You don't have to stay. The room bell's going off. Was that a temperature change? I thought I felt a breeze.
Like completely chilled up, like full. Moments ago there was like sweat dripping down my forehead, like down the side of my face, and I'm like full goosebumps.
What Rachel is describing here is something that Brandon touched on earlier as well. It's the feeling of sitting in a hot environment and suddenly you're hit with a wave of chilled air seemingly out of nowhere. It's something a lot of paranormal investigators experience while at a given location. It's believed that this is one sign you may be in the presence of a spirit. It's hard not to get a little excited or even scared when you're sitting alone in the dark in a hot, still environment, and all of a sudden it feels like something moves right past you, dragging the air along with it. A few moments ago, the REM pod was likely reacting to this pocket of cold air around the device as it was moving towards Rachel.
Did you walk by me? To leave the area?
Rachel rejoined the rest of the team back in the gear room on the main floor. We let her know that we explored the basement while she was upstairs, but we didn't feel, hear, or find much of anything, so we were curious to know if her experience echoed what Brandon experienced just a little while earlier.
I didn't get much, if any, evidence. I don't think.
Okay.
I got a few what I thought were responses on the spirit box, but I couldn't hear. There was a couple of moments where I felt like just like strong feelings. Like I felt like really heavy pressure on my chest, or like a breeze moving past me. It was just really heavy, and it really felt like if there's something there that it doesn't want, it's not interested in interacting with me.
It's kind of just there. And just,
Yeah.
okay.
Either he's angry or is not.
Or completely residual.
Yeah, or completely residual, yeah.
Okay.
At this point, we picked another name out of the hat to send someone on their solo investigation. This time, to the upstairs living quarters. In the room where 4 sheriffs suffered heart attacks, 3 of whom passed away.
Where do you guys? Sheriff's quarters?
Sure.
The room where they died?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going up to... what room is it?
Sheriff's quarters?
It's just up here and...
I believe so.
Yeah.
Alright. It's pretty bright in this room. There's a street light literally right outside the window. Alright, the spirit box is set to AM. Reverse. Sweep. Is there anybody here with me? So I'm currently in the room where multiple people, multiple sheriffs, died of heart attacks. Like 3 of them died in this room. Is there anybody here with me? If you're here, can you make that little device on that chair light up? If you get close to it, you'll see the light move from the left to the right. I feel like that's just kind of distracting. here in the sheriff's office. Sitting here for about 10 minutes now. Maybe I'll move to the next room and see if I get any activity there.
I felt it again.
You did?
Yeah.
Was it a spider web or anything?
No?
No.
This is actually the second time Grady feels like he was touched while at this location. Earlier, during the initial tour of the building, Grady mentions feeling like something touched him while he was coming up the stairs. I'll play that clip now.
Oh, goodness. So, matron's quarters, this would have been, she would have been responsible for the cooking and the cleaning, taking care of the women, and kind of like the nurse of the area. This is where the layout of the building.
Something touched my head.
Really?
It felt like I was coming up the stairs. Yeah. I thought there was like a light, like a string, because it was like it like moved my hair.
Wow.
One step.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's definitely not low enough to touch your head.
Yeah.
I don't see anything.
Weird.
I just kind of got a bad vibe right now.
In here?
Yeah. Something's off.
Stop it.
Stop. What?
Was that Griffin?
It had to have been Griffin.
Shuffling?
Yeah. It was like walking out there. Right?
Sounded like it.
Correct?
You get anything on there?
Griffin? No, since I took it.
Oh, I can see right down to the floor below.
That was super clear.
Yeah.
I really thought like somebody was just going down the stairs. You thought we would come out here and Griffin would be going down the stairs.
Let's go up.
Yeah, I'm up here.
There?
Yeah.
Were you just walking in the hallway?
I just came up the stairs.
We heard. I think we heard you.
Well,
And then you weren't answering, so we got scared.
I haven't heard you guys.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Rachel was calling up the stairs to you.
Maybe it was like right as I was coming up the stairs, so I didn't hear it.
coming up the stairs over there?
Yeah.
Oh, no, we heard steps out here.
Yeah.
No, I haven't.
Well, I thought you were, if it was you, you would have been walking around up here.
Nope. I came up the stairs, and then I heard you say my name, and I was like, oh, they must be right here.
Wow. Okay.
Well, that was weird then.
Yeah. 11,
It was literally just like
2 minutes ago,
Like,
it sounded like somebody was walking in the hallway.
Really?
yeah, like
And I was like, is that
outside.
Griffin? And everybody's like, yeah, I think so.
Well, that's I looked at Brandon and I was like, that's gotta be Griffin. Like, there's no way it's not a person.
This portion of the investigation was interesting to review because at the moment I didn't fully understand what it was they were claiming to have heard and assumed I was probably the cause somehow. Syncing up the clips though, at the point that the group hears what they think is me, I'm all the way in the front room of the building pointing out the small gap I can see through to the floor below.
Stop it.
Stop. What?
Oh, I can see right down to the floor below. At no point did I hear anyone ever yelling my name, and watching from their perspective, they never even heard me leave the first room I was in, which is a room attached to the cell block by a shared wall. So I just don't think the noises they were hearing were me. I don't know what it was, and unfortunately none of our cameras did a very good job of picking it up anyways, but perhaps the group did hear some kind of residual sounds of a guard or an inmate moving through the space. Following my short solo, we group up and spend a few more minutes in the area where we heard those shuffling noises, but we captured no further evidence. We head back to the gear room to pick one of the 2 final names in the hat to send to the shower area to try and make contact with Martin Kelly, a man who, in 1905, took his own life with a razor blade just before his court hearing was set to happen.
Oh, it's me. Martin
Kelly.
Martin Kelly.
Spirit box?
No, I'm just gonna do EVP. Use EMF, that kind of stuff. Martin, were you sad here in the prison? In the jail? Were you mistreated? Hearing some movement again. Hearing some movement again. Can you come make this device light up here on the floor? If you come near it, it's going to light up. Anybody down in this cell block, I'm telling you to come down here and talk to me.
Grady, now hearing some different walking and shuffling sounds in different parts of the cell block, starts calling on whatever spirits are around to try and make contact. At this moment, we capture a whispering voice up in May's cell that seems to be saying that the cells are unlocked. I'll play the unedited, raw audio from the recorder in May's room, and then add a few filters to try and help pop the voice out a little more. The last 2 clips I included here were from the static camera on the 3rd floor and my camera in the gear room, respectively. My camera was rolling in the gear room the entire time Grady was on a solo investigation, and I included these because I wanted to show that we have different reference points to try and help understand what this voice actually was. Initially, I figured the voice to be Grady's, just carrying all the way up the stairs and into the cell. But if that were the case, I would be hearing his voice every time he raises it. And he actually isn't heard on this recorder at any point during his solo, which was a little surprising. Also, I checked every video and audio clip in the project and made sure everything was synced properly, and this EVP is captured right before Grady starts talking. So what else could it be? Well, I included the clip of my camera rolling in the gear room for a reason. I know that the rest of the team is in the gear room at this moment, and if you watch the clip, you can see the window is open. So if there was someone outside yelling, we should be able to hear it from this camera. Now, that's not a guarantee based on, say, their location and volume, but this camera was the best shot I had at debunking that idea. Basically, the explanation I have for this phantom voice is either this is a real residual voice captured during a jail breakout or a conversation between inmates or guards, or it's pareidolia. The idea that our brains can interpret meaning from a random assortment of audio or visual data, like seeing a smiley face in your electrical outlet, meaningful shapes in cloud formations, or even the shape of a face created by the mountain range on the surface of Mars. I do believe that there is something out of the ordinary captured on this recorder, but whether or not it's truly paranormal, I just can't be 100% sure.
I need to know why you're in here. I don't know what that noise was. I don't know if that was the REM pod or it sounded like something was going off.
Grady returns to the gear room after hearing a collection of odd noises and experiencing some eerie feelings during his solo investigation. So we take a quick break, then prepare to send Melissa to the 3rd floor alone, while the rest of us venture back down into the basement one more time.
I thought we were gonna send Melissa.
3rd floor?
3rd floor.
Yep.
I dig it.
And then maybe we can hit the junk tank again, or like the chapel kitchen area.
Yeah.
You can stay out for a night.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Before Melissa even has a chance to head upstairs, up on the 4th floor audio recorder, we capture what sounds like a door slamming or an object falling and hitting the floor. I'll play the audio from the recorder first, then play the audio from the 3rd floor iPhone, as well as the audio from each of our cameras rolling in the gear room to show, as far as I can tell, this noise is coming from somewhere on the top floor.
Can bring mine.
Just make sure you narrate. Like, oh, I'm feeling this, or whatever, I'm feeling that.
Now it's Melissa's turn to head up to the 3rd floor alone, but she's armed with a camera, her PX device, which is another tool that serves as a word database that reacts to its surroundings, and some sage advice from Rachel on narrating out loud for the camera. Meanwhile, the rest of the team will head down into the basement one more time.
Good luck. Let us know if you need us.
Will do. Here we are, 3rd floor. It's where I am going to spend my half hour. Spirit. My box said spirit. Represent. What do you represent? Is there a spirit here with me right now? I'm just gonna sit here quiet for a few minutes and see if anything happens.
I'm going to jump in here and mention that it was on this investigation that we started to notice the PX device will almost always start generating words if you set it down on a metal surface. Melissa catches on to this and mentions it shortly, and I'll play the clips here to show how we figured this out. It was also tested during a few investigations that followed this one, and this behavior is repeatable. So if you have ghost hunting equipment, just be aware that the results received on these devices are not guaranteed paranormal activity. Instead, as we discussed with the phone apps, this can be a good tool to generate conversations and to give the investigator some additional investigation ideas. Don't rely solely on these devices. Feel the environment out, look for corroborating evidence, and be aware of situations where these devices can provide a false positive. Paranormal investigating is a learning experience, and I believe we should be experimenting and learning while at any given location.
Spirit. Spirit. Him. Him who? Is Charles here with me right now? Position. What position? Am I in a good position? A good cell? So I'm wondering if the position of this device matters, because every time I try to put it down is when I get another word. I'm going to put it down again and see what happens. Meat. And there it goes. It said meat.
While Melissa's investigating the 3rd floor, one floor above, we hear another whispered voice that sounds like it's saying, "I'll kill you." Is this the residual voice of an inmate threatening a guard, a fellow inmate, or even the matron? I'll play the audio from the recorder first, and then play the audio from the 3rd floor to compare.
Charles, if you're here with me, there is a red light in the hallway. If you go and touch it, it'll let me know you're here. Did someone up here touch my hearing aid before? I heard a tap on it when we first arrived. All of us here are friendly and we're excited to make contact if you're here. So I am going to touch the REM pod. It is not anything around me, just to see that it's working properly. You can touch this. Any of you around here can touch this and let me know you're here. I'm going to walk around. If you touch that, I will come back and communicate with you.
Can you show yourself?
Hello? That is the wonderful chair I tripped on earlier. Scared the living bejeez out of me. The REM pod is going off. I'm going to walk quickly towards where it is and try to catch it. Hello? I am here for you to communicate with. I'm excited that you're trying to reach out. Can you do that again for me? Is it a man up here with me? This is the man's floor. Men's ward.
Doesn't seem like anything's going on down here.
Where do you want us to go?
Charles, is that you? Do you want me to leave or do you want me to do another round, another circle? Is that you? Give it a good touch. Give it a good go.
You know they're doing renovations on this building. Is that making you angry?
You think that they're gonna do something to this place?
As I'm leaving, go ahead and make some kind of noise. Touch that red light. Or close a cell door. I hear something slamming. And I will bring my team back up. Thank you for your time.
Should we go see how Melissa's thing went?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that. I was wondering if somebody else wanted to go up into May's room.
Yeah, it seems like everything's kind of happening up there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Let's do it.
Meeting back up on the main floor, we decided as a team to head back to the top floor together with the short amount of time we had left in the building. Myself and Grady were locked in May's cell and another cell on the top floor respectively for about 20 minutes. I opened the window in May's cell and a nice cool breeze poured into the cell block, providing us with some relief from the heat, but we weren't experiencing anything out of the ordinary. We decided to head back down to the gear room to wrap up our investigation, but before we left the top floor, Rachel and Grady discussed our experience at the jail in this way.
What do you think?
I don't know. There have been just moments here where I felt so overwhelmed.
Yeah.
But it's fleeting.
Yeah.
I think that it's that there's definitely activity here. There's things happening. There's energy here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily know that it's aware of our presence.
Yeah.
As we packed up our car, we left Licking County Historic Jail feeling like we were also leaving with more questions than answers. Over the course of our evening inside this building, there were definitely a few moments where it felt like there was something in there with us. A residual energy that formed over nearly 100 years of pain, torture, and death. We may not have truly captured what we wanted to on camera this particular evening, but I can say that members of our team experienced something that roams these cell block halls and empty rooms, and I am confident that someday we will return to try again. And knowing what was waiting for us in just the days ahead, this was the perfect first stop in our road trip. Until next time, thanks for watching.
That's a wrap. Grandma over here.
My because I never.
Don't put that in the video.
Leave it in the video.